Hello, Chip GT here, and in today's episode of Let's Build a Pinball Machine, we are going to be continuing the series of building Project Snow Day. We are going to be focusing primarily on the Collections Manager, Materials Manager, Image Manager, and Sound Manager. So without any further delay, let's coin in and push that start button. Okay, so first things first, I've got all the links for you down in the description. On your way, scrolling past to get to those links, please give me a like, please subscribe. It really does help make the channel grow. In the files that I have for you today, I have a whole host of things that you're going to need to include all the sound files for Fleep Sounds. I've got some inserts that I exported from another table. I've got a VR room ready for you. But the key thing that you're going to need to follow along with me at home is an example table courtesy of the Vpin workshop. They've done a lot of work to put this together so that we could take advantage and learn from their example. And we're going to start by getting all the Fleep Sounds into our Sound Manager. All right, when importing your sounds into your Sound Manager, you're going to click on Table, and then go to Sound Manager, or you can just hit F2 on the keyboard. And this Sound Manager is where all of your audio files are stored for your pinball machine. I've already installed all the Fleep Sounds here. I'm just going to show you real quickly how to do that. Up in the corner here, you're just going to hit Import, and then you're going to navigate to where you have downloaded the files that I've provided you. Right here, and we're not going to import all of them at once. The VPX has a hard time with this. You want to select A and then scroll down, and we're going to go down to F, and at the end of F you're going to hold down the shift key and hit that one. It'll select everything there and then hit open. All right, I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it, but you just click open and it'll slowly import, and you'll see this will grow a huge tail of audio files. Then you're going to go again, you're going to scroll down to the tail end of F. We're going to pick back up with G, and we're going to go down through S. So I'll just hit Shift S, open again. It'll grow a tail again. It takes a few minutes, so give it a few minutes because you will see a lot more getting added in here. And then finally, we're going to do from T through the rest of the alphabet. And that way we make sure that we get all the files that we need imported. Now, the mass majority of Fleep is done in the code. We're not going to do that in this episode. We're just getting our Sound Manager ready to go so that all of our sounds are there. All right. So we're done with that. Now, into the Image Manager. This is where we store all the images that we're going to use in our pinball machine. And it's the same thing. We're going to import. We're going to go to the episode files. We're going to go to the inserts, and we want to select the vertical rectangle. And there's three images here. There's one off, there's an alternate off, and an on. We want all three of these images. We'll select all three, click open, and there they are, 1, 2, and 3. Then we want to hit insert or import again. We're going to go down to the VR room, images, and here's all the images that we're going to need for the VR room. So we'll just select all those, hit open, and they will import. Once we're done with that, now we're going to go into the Materials Manager. Now the materials are like the different, I've configured a few of these, but I've also set some up that we're going to need. When you go to import these, you can only import one at a time. So we're just going to hit import. Go back to our inserts, and under the materials we have an on and an off. We want to import off, so we'll hit open, and then you want to hit import again. Go back to the inserts, materials, we want to select on, and then we're going to do it again for all of the materials that I've given you for the VR room under materials. You just import all 5 of those. I'm not going to show you how to do all 5. I trust that you're smart enough to remember how I did all that. But the key thing with the Materials Manager, especially these on and offs, these give you the base colors, they give you the glossy layer and everything else. And I'm exported all these from the Vpin workshop. We've got some really nice things from them. There's like a shiny metal. There is a powder coated black, which is really nice. We're gonna need that for the coin door. There is clear plastics. There's all kinds of different things in here. And then there's also one for no extra shading at all, period. And we're going to need that for the VR room for several different things so that we don't have reflections off the walls and things like that. So make sure we get all the materials imported. And after we have that, we will have our sounds, our images, and materials that we need. Now we're going to look at our collections manager. Now, this collections manager is going to look totally different from yours. What we need to do is we need to start setting up collections, because when we go to coding, we're going to be calling these collections and having different things happen based off of the collection type. So, in no particular order, you want to hit new and then create a name for capital dynamic capital sources, just like how I have it here. You can see that. You also want one for gates. You want to create another one that's all insert lights. Now, when I'm doing this, when I have 3 different words, the first letter of each word is capitalized. Make sure you do that, all right? Then we're going to have metals 2. We're going to have metals underscore medium, metals underscore thin, targets, GI. Then we're going to have just regular metals, pins, posts, gates, wire, rubbers, apron. Now, if you named your apron, you need to rename your apron. You need to rename it to apron 01, because you cannot have a collection having the same name as a component. So change your apron name to apron 1, and then you'll be able to create apron. It's very important that we have the name apron as a collection. Then we're going to have walls, then rollovers. Then we're going to have lowercase d posts, lowercase d sleeves, capital V, capital R underscore cab. This is where all of our VR cabinet components are going to be. Shadow, capital D, capital T, and then target bounce. Okay. We're going to set up all these collections so that we can associate multiple sounds to one collection. It's going to be some really cool coding to get this to work, but just trust me, we want to have all these collections. Take your time. I'm going to provide a screen real quick for you so that you can freeze frame and you can get all these collections created. And when you got that done, we'll be ready to pick it back up. Okay, so down here in the bottom corner, I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I have added 3 new layers. Okay, so you're going to want to click add a new layer and name it insert lights. And then we're going to have another one for insert primitives, and we're going to have another one for VR room. All right, so go ahead and set those up now, because we're going to be adding in a whole bunch of cool stuff. Future Chip GT here, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to show you, like, everything that we've just imported has a purpose, and we're going to start by going into the inserts, and there's several different pieces to getting your inserts to look right, but I want to show you real quick what the inserts are going to look like. You're going to see that we have a depth that goes through the playfield, and you're going to see the image on the backside. The image will change with the on and off, so we get an illusion that our inserts are actually lighting up, and then having a light on top of that will give us a glow factor around the playfield. So we have several different pieces that go into this, but right now in this video, we're not going to cover how to cut the hole into the playfield artwork. That's going to come later once we get everything all situated, but right now we're going to get the basic foundation of the inserts, the on insert, the off insert, and the light setup, so that we can be prepared for the final piece, which is to cut the hole in the playfield. And we need to first start by importing a mesh. So I'm going to show you how to do this real quickly. By coming up here, I'm just going to grab the mesh tool, which looks like a sphere. We're going to drop it. And we're going to import 2 different meshes, actually. We want to first import the resources for the inserts. So we have the vertical rectangle, and we want the mesh, okay? There's 2. There's one that's on and one that's off. So we want to import that one, and we'll let it import. And we want to change the position size to 1 on this, across the board to get it down to size. Okay, so now we're going to import the off. So we'll go to visuals, import mesh, browse. There's the off, import, change the position size to 1 for all 3 parameters. And you know that the off, see how there's like a checkerboard and a box? That's how we know the difference between on and off. So this one, we're just going to change it to P1 off is the name. Or I'm sorry, we're going to make this P6. You might make yours P1. P6 off, and that's because I already did P1 through P4. And then this one is just going to be P1. All right. Now, the reason why we did P1 is it's easier to remember P1 and P1 off. And now we're going to create a light. So we got the light here. And we're going to change this to L1, just like that. Okay. So L1, P1, P1 off. These 3 are going to go together. Okay. This insert will give us the sense of depth and scale that we need. But first, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have the right material matched to it for each of these. We also have to put the image behind it. So if we click down here on what I've done before, we can see that we want the insert white off tree, and then we want the insert rec off for the off, for one that's off. So we'll click here. We're going to go to our materials that we imported. Now, since we've imported our materials, I got to say this real quick. You may need to save and close the file and then reopen it. Otherwise, your material may not show up. All right. So this is the off. So I'm going to do the material is white off. And then for the image, we imported all of our images earlier. So this is going to be insert rec off tree. And then for this one, it's going to be the same thing. Material is going to be insert white on, and then the image is going to be insert rec on vertical. Okay. Now we have the images loaded to this, and we're not going to be able to see them until we get to the point where we're ready to do the actual playfield. We have to go into Photoshop and cut a hole into the playfield so that we can actually see this. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to align these 2 images, one on top of the other, and it really helps to really zoom in. And you'll notice that one will fit right inside the other, and we can line up these crosshairs kind of like, come on, like that. And that's going to be good enough for what I'm trying to do. So we'll zoom out real quick, and you'll see this light, and it's a circle. So we're going to make it a square by just deleting some points here. We'll delete that one, and that one, and then we're going to make these, instead of smooth, we're going to make them straight, and that'll give us a nice box like this. Okay, now we can line up the center point with this light. That's a little too close. And we're just going to line it up like this. And then I'm going to zoom in a lot. And what I like to do is I just kind of line them up. Oop, too far. I like to line up the tops with these corners like this and try to get it as straight as I can. And then I'll line up the bottom like this. And bottom like this. Sure, that'll work. Then I'm going to right click and add a point, and I'm going to make this point right here, and we're going to make it straight. Same thing up here, add a point. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so that this is a nice, smooth, rounded light. So I'll just do this right here, make it straight, come down, add a point, make it straight, like that. Then you can come in here and you can add more points, and you can really try to, you know, round this out. You don't have to go into as much detail as I did. I ended up adding a point for every curve right here on mine. So I just took that there, and then I moved this one here, made another point, and then one last one. Really take your time with this, because making it look nice really goes a long way. And then you want to just make sure these are all smooth by right-clicking, right-click smooth, right-click smooth, and then we'll keep this one straight, but I'm going to bring it down and make it a little more even. So that's how I built those lights. And then you're just going to make sure that you have this as L1, or sorry, you can make it L. I made mine 6. And that way your light and your inserts and everything go well with each other, and then you can copy and paste this around. Now, if you want to do square or circle or triangle, you can export those from the example table. This is just what I did for this, and that's how I did my lights here, like that. So there's, you know, drain lane 1, which is light 1, and then the 2 inserts 1 and 2, and then I did that across the board for all 4. All right. Once you have your lights all put up the way that you want, you're going to need to click on the light. So you can see I've already added these to a group because it's selected it all. So we're going to come up here to the collections manager, and we want to assign all of our lights to all insert lights. So there you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you don't want them to be grouped together, which I don't recommend grouping everything together until you have all your inserts and all your lights the way that you want them, because if you select one, it selects all of them. So I'm just going to leave this unchecked for now. But you want to add all the insert lights, so L1, L2, L3, or 4. That's what I have right now. And you're just going to select them from over here and then click the little arrow button to drag them over into the All Insert Lights collection. I also find that it's easier to group these together. So we created down here in the layers, we have the insert lights. So I just clicked on the light, and you right click, assign to a layer, and then come over here to insert lights. Once you have them all in, all the lights in insert lights, I just kind of uncheck it, and then we have our primitives, and the P up here in the name stands for primitive, which is what our meshes are when we import them by themselves. So I'm going to have a grouping for the primitive inserts, or the insert primitives, and then we have another group for the insert lights. So same thing as before, right click on the primitive, assign to a layer, insert primitives. And you'll do that for both. So we'll have P1. So like over here on the side, I have P1 and P1 off, 2 off, 3 off, 4 off. And then you can hide those or you can show them, but having them grouped together really makes it easy to just simply turn them on and off at will. All right, so we've imported a lot of different things. We've kind of talked about the different collections and managers. I think that this video is starting to get a little too long. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to set up the VR room. One of the biggest questions that I get from people in the comments feed is primarily tied to the VR and VR headset and why tables aren't configured for a VR room. The thing that you got to understand is not every table that is designed for VPX has been set up for a VR room. So I'm going to show you in the next video, we're actually going to create a VR room for Project Snow Day. And I'm just going to leave you with a little taste real quick so that you can see what that's going to look like. And it's actually a lot easier than what people make it seem. So there's going to be a couple of different options. We're going to have like a traditional DMD, like this video is a traditional DMD. And then you can also do another VR room option where you have it look more like a modern Stern and have a little bit different environment. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in the next video, and we're going to have a whole lot of coding in the next video. So it'll be very interesting to see your reactions, because we are kind of going in back and forth between VR and Project Snow Day. But one of the goals that I had for Project Snow Day was to make it so that it is VR compatible. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.